Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and stay tuned by clicking the bell icon. Full-service burn unit rises again at Hamilton General Hospital. For 2 years, burn patients in Ontario were sent to Toronto. Now the local burn unit's new director aims to make program a global leader. By the time he felt searing pain, the right cuff of his jeans was on fire. And when Jim Enright slapped at the flame, his synthetic sock melted to the skin of his ankle and calf. Enright had used the propane-fueled blowtorch many times to kill weeds in his yard, but with guests on the way, he had worked too quickly. 2 weeks later, he lay in the burn unit of Hamilton General Hospital, 10 minutes from his home in the lower city. A healthy layer of skin had been removed from his right thigh and grafted to the lower leg, where burnt skin was removed, including a 1/4 of an inch of fat that insulates the leg, he said. It is a well-trained and dedicated group of caregivers here, Enright told The Spectator, moments after his bandages were refreshed. The nurses do a magnificent job, and their sense of humor is comforting for someone in healing mode, he said, adding that he felt embarrassed at how he injured himself. If the burn happened a year ago, Enright would not be in Hamilton. He would have been transferred to Toronto's Sunnybrook Hospital, where all serious burn patients in Ontario were sent during a 2-year period that began during the pandemic. Hamilton Health Sciences (HHS) and Sunnybrook have long been the only 2 hospital burn units in Ontario, but the HHS program had fallen in stature. That has changed. The burn unit has been rejuvenated and expanded, and its new director vows to make it a world leader in burn treatment and research. In the first 5 months following its reboot last December, the burn unit treated 70 patients. In the previous 10 years, the average admissions to the unit for an entire year numbered about 80. "We have a strong mission. It shows the needs of the community that we need to be here," said Director Dr. Mark Jeschke, a burn surgeon and researcher who arrived at HHS last year, leaving his post as head of the burn program at Sunnybrook. His impact in Hamilton has been immediate. He came in all excited, which is good, but at first it was like, "What's going to happen to us?" said Christine French, a charge nurse who has worked in the burn unit for 32 years. "But we are moving in the right direction. Things are better," she said. "Our patients are getting to the OR operating room right away. Patient outcomes are better." That had not been the case when the burn unit suffered interim directors shuffling in and out, and its 10 beds filled with non-burn cases. "That made us feel bad," said French. "Burns is such a specialized area, and you notice when you are not working up to your potential, doing what you are meant to do. You're just blowing in the wind." Jeschke insisted burn patients have scheduled access to the OR, which is now 5 days a week. He also requested HHS purchase a laser to treat scar tissue that promotes new skin growth. The laser arrived last December, thanks to a Hamilton Health Sciences Foundation fundraising campaign. The General is one of the few hospitals in Canada that has one. "Rebuilding the laser program is quite exciting," he said. "We are unique. We are trained to take care of burns from acute injury through our patients' entire journey to restore their quality of life." In addition to running the burn unit and holding the post of Vice President of Research at HHS, Jeschke regularly performs surgery. "I still operate. I don't wear this for show," he said with a smile, gesturing toward his white lab jacket. Taking The Spectator on a tour of the unit recently, Jeschke, who speaks with the accent of his native Germany, radiates confidence, jokes with staff, "Pretend you are doing something important," and encourages them to talk about their work. "He is quite a character," said French. "I think I have him pegged now." Jeschke stresses the team approach required to care for a burn patient. That includes pharmacists, critical care nurses, respiratory therapists, physiotherapists, and social workers, given the sociological root causes of many of the accidents that bring people to them. In this sense, burns are different from illnesses that send others to hospital. Burn unit patients are sometimes victims of fate, and other times, life. A patient wanders out of her room and past the nurse station, her face marked with red blotches, the skin under her nose raw. She had been smoking at home while using oxygen therapy and scorched her face. Jeschke said studies have shown a burn often represents the culmination of mental health issues, underlying issues for patients that lead to a burn, said Marjorie Beeringer, a social worker in the unit. She left her hospital job in Kitchener 6 months ago because she wanted to be part of the new team at the General. "We see patients with addictions and homelessness. It's a wide range," she said. "And there's a lot of PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. Burn patients need support, and also their families, because it affects everyone around them." Last winter, the burn unit frequently treated frostbite in patients who had been living in encampments. A cold burn is similar in impact to the body as a hot burn. Next door to the hospital, across Copeland Avenue, is where Jeschke established a new lab, the Center for Burn Research, in the David Braley Research Institute building. The lab includes storage of thousands of samples of blood, skin, and fat, from healthy and burnt tissue and stem cells. Research Associate Yufi, Andy Chen points at 2 storage units that each hold 6,500 samples. Researchers Maria Fernanda Hutter and Nicole Moorer extract protein from tissue samples, all part of learning about the body's metabolism and skin regeneration after a burn. 1 floor down, robotics, with not one human present, analyze cells measuring thousands of biomarkers. It's cool scientific stuff, said Jeschke, but it really allows you to study outcomes and come up with new treatments. His career includes 9 years in Galveston on the Gulf Coast of Texas, where he treated victims from mass explosions. HHS recruited him in part for his ability to attract funding and grants. Jeschke was courted by health sciences heavy hitters elsewhere, including in Boston, home to Harvard Medical School. He suggested HHS offered an environment refreshingly free of toxic egos and politics. You have different personalities everywhere you go, but it's a matter of how do we get along. In Hamilton, the attitude is not, this is mine, but rather, what do you need? It's the team spirit here that is fabulous. Jeschke said in the near future, his team will conduct human trials for skin printing technology that he has been researching for years to help burn patients. The Burn Lab recently received a $298,000 grant toward the initiative, and he hopes to secure funds from Ontario's Health Ministry to renovate the unit in the hospital. The ultimate goal, he said, is to be a global leader in burn treatment and research. But the most urgent need, he said, is hiring additional staff. Once that happens, the burn unit will regularly treat more complex burn cases, some of which continue to go to Sunnybrook, as soon as this fall. One of these patients was treated at the General's burn unit in May, transported from 500 kilometers up north, because Sunnybrook was full. Paul Merrifield's pants had caught fire when he stood in the burn pit at his cottage home, not realizing there were still hot ashes underneath. He was flown by plane to Hamilton in an Orange Air ambulance that took off from an airstrip on Manitoulin Island on Georgian Bay. He was treated for burns on both legs that had cut to the bone. He had multiple skin grafts taken from his back and buttocks, but there were complications, he said. Healing problems at the skin graft donor sites, in addition to skin struggling to grow back on the burn recipient sites. He is 85. The impact of aging on tissue regeneration is one area that Jeschke's team researches in the lab. But Merrifield's spirit is resilient. True to his surname, the Sudbury native speaks with a twinkle in his eye. The treatment is complicated, he said, but this is a well-run place. The staff is really helpful and pleasant. You might even say it's a fun place. His total stay in the burn unit might number at least 8 weeks in the end, before an air ambulance flies him back up north. A recent procedure was removing additional dead tissue from his legs to enhance skin growth. My doctor said I'll be able to walk, so that's good to hear, he said. But he also told me, this is serious. He said I am really putting them to the test. At one point, Merrifield was able to change beds in favor of a spot by the window, where Jim Enright had been before his release. The modest view is out front of the hospital over well-worn Barton Street East at Victoria Avenue North. If you like the video, don't forget to like, comment, and share.